Okay, now I'm feeling not only old, but also stupid. I need to speak between a genius kid, the next Einstein, and a sir that I'm a big fan. Second thing, guys, you are tough. I thought like Israelis are tough after the army, and their students are. You sit here and you applause to you. This is amazing. Okay, as a brain scientist. Now, I was so inspired here that I actually decided to change my talk a little bit. I was raised in a little ghetto-like neighborhood, really tough neighborhood in Jerusalem. Anyway, and this guy decided instead of like putting a plank of his name or giving some money to some, he decided to donate a whole band. You get any music instrument you want. And I picked up saxophone. At that time, alt saxophone, then I switched to tenor saxophone. After the army, I managed somehow to barely pass the exam into the high academy and the jazz department there, but I also wanted to be a scientist, so I went to speak with the dean, and I asked him that I want to study both in the university and in the music academy, and he said, "Why do you want to go to the music academy?" I said, "I want to have to do something with the science and something to the soul." And he was like, now he's my colleague, it's really funny, he said, "There is no such a thing as a soul, it's all in the brain." Funny enough, now I kind of believe in it in some level, but anyway. And then I had made one very conscious decision. Whatever I'm doing with the brain, I'm not doing it with music. I'm just going, this is my passion, my hobby, I continue to play saxophone, I was just going to study the brain. What I want to tell you today is that somewhere along the way, life forced me to use music in a very weird way. It's a project that was inspired in a way by bats and dolphins, trying to give some independence and some abilities of far sensing to blind people using music. So the idea sounds really crazy. For this, we need to talk a little bit about the brain, about how to see with music. First of all, this is a picture from basically reflecting a textbook in brain science, in which we have thinking about the brain as a sensory machine. We still have meetings of all the auditory people. The blue people meet and discuss the auditory system, and all the red people are the visual people, and a meeting and discussing vision, and so on and so forth. And what is more important about each system is that we have a concept in neuroscience that there is a critical period. Our brain is very flexible. You need to experience the right senses in the right time, and after that it closes. And if you didn't experience it there in the right time, it closes, critical period, and then the brain is almost really not flexible. So we lose this flexibility after this time, and this only gets worse in age. Okay, so example one, the See with the Music project. So basically, in this project, we have the full electromagnetic spectrum, and we all know that 400 gives us red light, and 700 give us blue light, and this is how we see. And we try to communicate this part of the spectrum through music. In a second project we're actually trying to create some superhuman abilities. So, for example, have ability to sense if there is thermal information here or sense beyond the walls by transforming this information and teaching the brain to perceive it like a sense that we don't have at the moment, okay? And adapting its brain to perceive it to achieve certain goals. So first we need to talk a little bit about vision. And again, the common wisdom about, for example, how to build a bionic eye is to say vision is a little bit like a camera. The eye is a little bit like a camera. There is some screen there that converts the light into action potentials that reach the brain, and this is how we see, okay? Okay, and then we were very lucky to see this example. Let's do a little check here. How many of you here in the audience see this dress as white and gold? Like me, raise your hand. So it's about half. And what about the other half? What colors do you see it? How many see it's blue and black? Okay. Now, so what's going on here? We just said that physics tells us that 400 nanometer, this is blue, 700 millimeters, this is red. How come one see light, like me, one see black, no light, one see gold or white, which is the middle of the spectrum. One sees blue. This doesn't make any sense. So how do we explain it? We explain it that it is actually, it's a combination between the input, the physical world, and the brain. Only together, this is the way we see. For example, there is a little hint here. What happens if I take this diagonal line and move it to the side? If there is context, it's changed completely if it's more dark or more bright, so the same happens to the dress. Another example that I really like is this FedEx example. How many of you saw this logo before, but only now see that between the E and the X there is an arrow? Raise your hand now. Raise your hand. How many see the arrow now for the first time? Almost all the audience. Now, this is pretty crazy. You are after the critical period. You're after 1 year of your life, right? So you're already past the critical period, but what I did now is that in one trial, I changed your vision forever, okay? One trial. Why? If I asked you now to ignore the arrow, would you be able to do it? No. And now I promise you, next time you're traveling in Montreal and see a FedEx truck, or you're in the Barbados and see this. I'm now seeing FedEx trucks everywhere, actually. I was aware that they are there. I'm seeing them everywhere, and this arrow will jump on you. And you remember this crazy Israeli professor that came to speak about, okay? So one trial changed your vision forever. So you would say, okay, this is FedEx logo, maybe it's something that really doesn't really important to what we do. So how about faces? Faces are really important, right? Faces, so for example, here we have the Mona Lisa. You didn't know, but actually they were twins, the Mona Lisas, they were twins. They were one was really smart, like you, and one was a little bit less, they looked the same. And the teacher in the high school were suspicious that actually, one of them is doing the test for the other. So they said, let's study them really good to find the difference between them. So take 5 seconds and tell me if you find any difference. Do you find any difference? Something with a smile, something with a, but it's difficult, right? Okay, now I'm doing something because it's a little bit like magic, so people don't believe me. I'm kicking the title. What's going on here? Evolution in our brain created an area that's called the fusiform face area that by years of evolution created a very sophisticated system that is very important socially and to the contact with my mother, with our environment. And it's so unique, this area, that it's very good, but it's only very good when the faces are upright. But now you know the trick, okay? Never mind, we'll get back to this Mona Lisa because actually what we found is if we take somebody that was born blind, that actually his retina didn't develop, so he don't have the pulse, the electric pulses. And we teach him this new language that I'm going to show you in a second how to use it, of music. He looks on the face and says, this is the Mona Lisa, this is a smiling, sad, all about music. But when we are putting them in the MRI and scan their brain, we see that before the training, their FFA, the face area didn't respond, but after the scanning, it's responding. But not only it's responding higher to the upright face than to the opposite face. Okay, so we really can, by using this multisensory approach, this topographic approach, enhance the brain recovery, and now we are putting it together with neural network, artificial neural networks. So some of the work will be done by the computer, some will be done by the brain, and it will tell you the environment, and also will give you this topographic information, and we are having quite cool, I will show you 1 or 2 movies about it. Okay, the last example is really mind-blowing. Einstein really liked thought experiments, right? Gedank experiments. I will give you a thought experiment. I won't tell you what is the solution, but I will just tell you, usually the way 3D movies works, if you close your eyes and put a finger in front of you, close and far away, you would see that you see the same image if you blink the eyes, right? But it's a little bit different. When does the finger is jumping more? When it's close to you or when it's far away? Close, right? This is how we compute, for example, an arrow flying in our direction, right? This is why we wear these goggles. We separate between the 2 eyes, close distance, and then make it far between the 2 similar images. This is how I have an illusion of 3D. So actually, it's an illusion based on the emergence of 2D images to create an illusion of a 3D, which represents a real 3D in the world. So we see with our brain not less than we see with our eyes. So how can we use it? There was a brilliant scientist called Paul Bacharita said, then if we see with the brain, why don't we make a bypass and take images from a camera and put on our back or on our tongue some electrodes and make them see with it. It's a genius approach. The problem is that it's very expensive and very low resolution. What I did was to suddenly, when I bump into this field, say, okay, I couldn't resist. I need to put music into action. And what we did was actually create 1,000 to 2,000 pixel resolution converting the first color vision sensory substitution that takes colored images and embedding this information into shapes, colors, locations, and so on and so forth. So how do we do it? Actually, here, when I was playing it, I was reading recently Einstein biography, and it was really cool. Albert Einstein, when he was forced to summarize the general theory of relativity in one sentence, he said, time and space, and gravity, but let's throw it away, time and space have no separate existence from matter. So what we did in this project, if we need to summarize, and I don't have a lot of time, when I forced to summarize the iMusic, how it works, I would say that space, visual space, this is space, yeah? This retina represents visual space, can be converted into time and music in a way that maintains shape, location, brightness, and even colors. How can we do it? Let's do a little demo. First of all, what I'm showing you here is the y-axis is sound, is music. The x-axis is time. And when you have music over time, you get shape information coming up. Now we just need to teach the brain to do it. So let me teach you in 2 minutes how to see with sounds. Let's start with grayscale images because it's a little bit more easy. Let's start with something really, really simple. Can we have the sound? Okay, I would sing it for you. Okay? Now, if I want to represent the letter V, for example, how should it be? I always wanted to be a conductor, so let's make a little try. 1, 2, 3. Great. Okay, so this is a horizontal line, lower line. Oh, so we have a choir singing for us the vision. Okay? Vertical line is charter. Okay. We can have a sad face. A smile face will be and so on and so forth. Now let's have the equation, okay? Okay, so this is the M. I hope you get a sense of the topography and so on and so forth. Let's jump into the entire equation because we are running out of time. I have to show you how this sounds, this spectrogram. Equal. Okay, now if you didn't manage to do it, don't be hard on yourself because usually we take 2 hours and we teach the entire alphabet. Then they can reach for their shoes, they can read. Let me just show you what happened in the brain of Sigalit when she is doing this. Her brain is actually doing the reverse algorithm of what we did. We take visual, spatial images, put this information in music, her brain sends it to the auditory system, and then funnel it to the visual system. When she actually recognizes the word or the face or the shoes or imitating someone, then it's happening in the visual system that builds these images. We have an amazing system that probably might get a Nobel Prize in one of the future years. It's called the mirror system, found by Rizzolatti. Mirror system is a system that works when you are doing a movement and when you are looking at someone do a movement. So it's a great system to imitate and to learn things, right? So you see here, yeah, the cat can do it, and even humans can do it, you know. And well, some animals can't do it. Well, actually, I got a really angry messages, so then I got a lot of movies of dogs doing it really, really cool. But now even people that were born blind and never were exposed to visual images, so how do they have this mirror system? Now using this seeing with music, they manage to hear the sounds, imitate, and learn things, and the activation in the brain goes exactly into the same areas. And this is the most important slides. I have fun going to Montreal and get kicked out of the stage, bye-bye. But these guys are really doing the work. Amazing students, Hebrew University of Jerusalem.